Hello everybody and welcome to Amphlett Reviews, back with another Hong Kong content review. Continuing on with the spooky kind of theme month. I know we're going into November now. I finished the Mr. Vampire franchise, and there's a few other spooky movies in the collection that I wanted to check out. And conveniently, which is interesting, I got on a bit of a Tsui Hark kind of marathon, a mini marathon of his kind of more supernatural based kind of movies. I have the Chinese ghost story movies, which to check out. They'll be coming up soon. But for this video, we're talking about Green Snake, the kind of not that well known. I don't know if it's well regarded necessarily. It's a very odd one because it seems to be a very divisive kind of movie. I don't know if people ultimately land on this film one way or the other. But however, interestingly, this edition, of course, is the DVD. There's no Blu-ray for this film. It's very out of print. It's a UK edition, just very standard DVD, which is just the jump, kind of English subtitles. And I think it does have a few extras on the edition, so that's pretty cool. There is recently been an anniversary release in terms of the Maggie Cheung Festival, which is a brand new 4K transfer. So I believe there will be a brand new Blu-ray edition, potential 4K edition for this film, potentially for next year. Who will get it? 88 Films, Eureka, is yet to be decided. I definitely think it'd be one of those big labels that will definitely pick up for sure. Let's continue on the spooky movies and dive back into Tsui Hark, which if anyone has seen my videos on Tsui Hark, I will put a playlist together. I'll put a link in the description below for that. I've been very kind of hit and miss with this director, and I would say more positive than negative. However, he is a very strange director, to say the least, and his output of movies bizarre and bonkers, and his quality level is mixed between kind of high-end, just really excellent top-tier filmmaking, to cheap and just kind of odd choices in terms of editing and filmmaking style, action. It's just a really kind of odd output of movies and kind of mixture of genres and returning actors, and he's just a very odd and very peculiar kind of director. Obviously done the Once Upon a Time in China series, which has been fantastic. The Zulu Warriors, which just melts my brain. He had a really terrible reimagining of the One-Armed Swordsman with the blade, which I really did not like. I did not like that style. I didn't like that filmmaking. I didn't like the story. I didn't like anything to do with that film. But also saying that, he's also done one of my favorite Van Damme movies with Knockoff. I've watched this film quite a few times. This is really, really fun. A real good guilty pleasure, and also done the great Jet Li film, The Master, which I also really enjoyed and also got a lot out of. So as mentioned, his output of movies is such a juggling act in terms of, the quality you're going to get. You never know too sure what kind of movie you're going to get with Tsui Hark. And that leads me to Green Snake, kind of a diversion there, released in 1993, also tapping into some of that balance between bonkers, a great premise, and also the guy's a genius at the same time. I don't know how this film is really kind of put together in the way that it is, but I kind of loved it. I kind of think it was awesome, and I kind of felt it had the right level of every aspect of Tsui Hark in terms of his more bonkers nature with the kind of Zulu Warriors and some of his kind of mystical elements. This film is heavily mystical and very supernatural-ish, and tapping into some of those kind of bigger ideas that's kind of popular during the 90s, obviously with Zulu Warriors and Kung Fu Master with Jet Li kind of thing. It's tapping into that. I'd say it's more in the line of Ringo Lam's kind of Burning Paradise level. That's my type of level of bonkers. That's my type of level of just kind of, ooh, this is just, something's cooking here and something's getting interesting. It also has a really good premise. It's simple. It's well told. It's heavily stylized. The filmmaking in this, I think, is absolutely fantastic. I think some of his best kind of cinematography and some of his best kind of, style and the fights, the kind of the mystical fights with the swords and going in the airs and the mystical elements is just carefully balanced. I think it has the right kind of feel to the film. I think the tone of the film, the music choices with this love track that keeps playing throughout the film, I think is great. It has some interesting kind of simple but yet intriguing kind of talking points, this idea of good versus evil and how one thing can be labeled as evil but not necessarily would be, in terms of it's a great scene in terms of a natural disaster. You've got the potentially evil snake characters, these are evil kind of protagonist characters, which kind of stop a kind of, a tidal wave happening within this town, where you've got the Buddhist priest, which basically say, no, there has to be a balance. Buddha can be merciful and can be vengeful, very similar to kind of most religions, and there has to be a natural order to things between good versus evil. Some things are just a force to be reckoned with, and we can't interfere in that. So that's an interesting kind of talking point, while also being an absolute deviant first trap film. And I cannot believe this is a 12 certification on this edition. It is. It's not explicit. It's not particularly that kind of, category 3 level or anything along those lines. However, it's unbelievably fucking horny and precious Venus. Two of the biggest kind of hottest, Asian stars in kind of Hong Kong cinema during that time. The film utilizes them to an absolute maximum degree, and without doing category 3, without doing anything explicit, and it works. And it feels classy. It feels very kind of artistic. Jerry Wong's character and playing, I think, white. And you've got Maggie Cheung's character playing green, which is the two snake characters, which basically escape from this kind of mystical kind of forest, this kind of supernatural world. They are snakes, huge ass snakes, which is great, very practical effects. They turn into kind of human form by escaping, by the Buddhist priest allowing them to live for the time being. They kind of escape into the real world, the real reality. You got a really great kind of introduction sequence with the Buddhist priest character, one of our not protagonist character, but just a side character, someone who is adding into the kind of the question marks, some of the themes of the film, which basically is just a whole holy level kind of, massive badass kind of priest character, which has powers, has abilities, can fly in the air and has a sword, and basically takes out an evil kind of a presence within this kind of like forest, this kind of supernatural forest, lets the kind of snake characters live because he doesn't see it as much of a threat or that evil, so he'll allow them mercy for the time being. That's pretty interesting, and it comes into a theme later on where he kind of asks one of the characters to basically test his kind of inner strength, which we all know what that is. Playing coy there a little bit. So you've got these two characters, basically the kind of white and green snake characters, or meant to be kind of evil, quote. They come into human form, and they're basically not doing anything necessarily bad. It's very much in that line of erotic ghost story, but without the kind of category 3 kind of sleaze or kind of the erotic kind of part of it, of course. It's just these kind of supernatural beings that are there, and they basically want to experience the human kind of day-to-day life. We got Joey Wong is our main kind of character, protagonist, I would say, the film. She's essentially the main character of this entire film. She's holding most of the screen time. And it's interesting on that topic with Joey Wong. I've seen her in quite a few things. I have seen her in multiple different kind of movies, Gods of Gamblers, and I've seen her in quite a few of the movies. And I never really felt much of a performance necessarily with her. I liked her in my Heart is the Eternal Rose. I thought she was quite good in that, but I never felt she was as strong of an actress. She's obviously very gorgeous and very good looking, but in terms of a performance, in terms of an actress, I never really felt that she kind of got something truly special. Maybe that's in the Chinese Ghost Story series. Maybe that's something that's coming up soon. Maybe that will change my opinion. However, I thought in this film she was really, really good, and I thought her performance was actually quite well handled in terms of the first chop aspect, but also in terms of just a character that wanted to live, a character that was been defined straight off as a evil snake, an evil entity, someone has to be stopped. She's got Buddhist priest on one end, you've got the talisman, blind talisman character with his two kids, companions at her doorstep, and she just wants to find love. She wants to find companionship, and she wants to experience the human emotion, having tears and just kind of training herself in terms of over 1,000 years. You've got Maggie Cheung's character, which is a bit of the sister character, very mature, very much a child kind of version, essentially, I guess, in terms of her attitude and how she sees the world and how she's the situation is ultimately. But I thought she was very, very good in the film, and I liked her agency. I liked her character. I liked the obvious scenes that are in the film, because it just have that really fine line. What scenes I'm on about. I thought she was very good in the film. Which is very good. Maggie Cheung also, second lead in the film in terms of her performance. She's having an absolute blast, and I've seen quite a few Maggie Cheung performances, and has a massive range of movies going back and forth between her true form of a giant snake and this human form, and she's kind of curious about kind of Joe Wong, her sister character's kind of situation with the evacuation, what's going on, and she's just kind of very much a liability to kind of Joe Wong's kind of character ultimately, but she does serve as a an interesting kind of companion piece and an interesting kind of second viewpoint of the film, which I think is quite good. Definitely much more of a lighter kind of tone, lighter kind of feel compared to something like Zulu Warriors or some of his more madcap kind of ideas they usually does do. And visually kind of striking to watch. You've got a whole CGI battle at the end, you've got giant snakes and practical effects, and it's just a real delight and real charming film to watch. And I think this is going to look absolutely fantastic on a 4K HD transfer. I definitely think it's definitely going to benefit from it, because the DVD definitely was very low res. And again, I can't tell if Tsui Hark is a madman, a genius. I can't tell if he's an actual good filmmaker or bad filmmaker. You know, there's a lot more movies I like that I don't like of him, granted. However, you know, his quality and his output is so odd, it's so bizarre, and it's always an interesting talking point when I go to a Tsui Hark film. And thankfully and very happily, Green Snake definitely delivered something very different, and it wasn't the film I expected going in. We're excited, we're looking forward to watching the Chinese ghost story movies. Hopefully they'll deliver. Definitely recommend watching Green Snake, guys, and if you haven't seen it, please go and check it out for sure. What are your thoughts and opinions on Green Snake? Please comment down below. In the meantime, guys, Amphlett Reviews, signing out.